because it was, it was lonesome back then.
Absolutely. Well, that's good. That's good. I noticed some of your artwork I've got some queued up that you sent me. That's really cool. I want to show people. I noticed you've got like a Christ face, with the thorn. Very beautiful. That's a commissioned work. And I want to save it for the show, though. I don't want to spoil all the goodies. I want to ask you about that and just a whole bunch of stuff. Our co-host Rion will come screeching in like 1 minute before the show.
Okay.
She does tend to do that, so no worries. And
okay.
In about 4 minutes, I'm going to top off my coffee, nip my morning inspiration, and
good to go. Yeah, I'm going to try to get my speakers to where they'll work a little bit better. So I'll be.
All right, my microphone is on my here, so if I'm not here sitting in front of me, I can still talk to you and hear you. So just let me know if you need me to speak or something, so you can test your audio. Tony, no talk, Tony. Tony B, no talk, Tony. It's been a day or two. I think we lost you there, brother.
I'm still here. I'm trying to get this silly thing to link up on the Bluetooth.
Okay, no worries. You got time. Video froze.
I'm not the most technological guy.
Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I am your host. Oh, come on, computer. Hello, computer. Gremlins. Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm your host, the Amazing Super Chris. Thank you for joining me this morning. We're going to talk about some fun things today. Exorcisms. from an atheist point of view. That's our show, our scheduled topic, and that's what our poll's going to be about. But I happened to get a surprise last-minute guest, so I didn't really have time to go rename all the stuff and create all the stuff. But I got a guest, and he's going to be joining us. Don Phantom Squirrel. It's Howell. Don Howell. I keep wanting to say Hannah Heyman.
That's right.
Good morning. Yes, Don is going to be joining us here in a moment. He's here in the background. You can hear him. Can't see him, but you can hear him. He's here. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let me sell you some atheism with this atheism commercial. We'll be right back. Boop.
Life is complicated. These are trying times. There are many questions that need answering. Want to know what's going to help? Atheism. With atheism, you'll get rid of dogma, superstitions, and toxic thought patterns that are holding you back. You can drive while taking atheism, as well as use heavy machinery. In fact, drinking alcohol, fornicating, and Sunday mornings are far more enjoyable with atheism. However, there are side effects. Some evangelicals and fundamentalists will think you're possessed by the devil. But you don't have to worry, because you know the devil isn't real. Just like God. Wake up to your life. Believe in yourself. Believe in science. Atheist.
All right, we are back. Let me bring my co-hosts Rion, Cultastic, and Don Howell up on the show with me. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Yeah, Rainbow Ash, they're loving on this shirt, because let me tell you what's going on, Don, just in case you're not up to speed on the deal. Normally I wear like a blue or a gray or a black shirt, and Rion has just been clothing shaming me and making me feel bad. She called me ugly and a stupid head and all this other stuff. I've been trying to get better shirts on here, and the evil one is my wife. So check this out. She goes on Amazon and Etsy and starts shopping for shirts like this. My Facebook starts showing shirts advertised like this in my. They're out to get us, I swear. But yes, I got this. This is the first one to come in. It's got like a little
the aliens
astronaut. It's got an alien on there, an astronaut, a little dog trying to kill the astronaut. I say that because I don't know if y'all can see.
I like it.
Oh, that's so funny. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's got a little astronaut, and the dog is grabbing the astronaut's pants and kind of pulling him, and of course he's in a suit, in a suit like that, that's instant death. So I figured the dog's some sort of demon hound.
That's sharp. I like it.
Let me say hello to everyone who's joined us in the chat this morning. Good morning, Mom Poppy. Thank you for the compliment on the lace shirt. Nice to see you this morning. Mom Poppy, Rainbow Ash, Sapient Cephalopod, all you wonderful people, thank you. It is the fate of men to be bullied by fashionable women. Yeah, that's true. When we met, I was like I didn't wear tighty-whitey underwear. I was beyond that, but I did wear like white socks and New Balance shoes and all that crap. And the wife made me move out of the clothes. And now I wear little black socks because I'm cute. Ankle socks instead of the ones that come up to my knees because I was an old man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
you have the old man socks.
She's hooked me up with all my stuff. I know, right? Yeah, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have any style at all. But Don is a person of style. Don is an artist, an ex-Marine. You know what? I tell you what. Let me
shirt.
This shirt or his
jacket?
Shirt?
No, yours is great, but I'm looking at his. It has like some embroidery or something printed on it. I don't know. It looks.
Oh, it's like ship stuff.
Yeah. Very fashionable.
I'm goofy. I like. I would dress every day in Renaissance if I could. I'll be honest with you. So, like this one kind of had a piratey feel, so I like it.
That's awesome. The wife, I think she has me a Viking kind of shirt coming. It's got holes and a thing that come up here, and it's got thing. Yeah, I'd wear that.
Yeah, this one's kind of got a little bit going on. Yeah,
awesome.
I love it.
Rainbow Ash says, "Love it, Don. Very stylish." So I'm going to put you big up on the screen here, Don, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what's going on. Can you see yourself? You might need to.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Well, briefly, I'll do a quick throat clearing. I always try to make it important that my ego is very much not a part of what I do. And so there is some folks wonder why I use the nom de plume or pen name of Phantom, and that has a lot to do with that. So I'm a guy that tries to be as away from the actual creation of my artwork as possible, meaning that, since we do so many custom creation stuff and commissions, that I like to kind of just be a vehicle that my customers and clients will speak through. Real quick, I'm a guy that is autistic. I am an autism spokesperson now. I didn't learn that until I was older in life, and so I have a history in the Marine Corps. I was a mechanical engineer by trade. Did very well in that, but realized that the amount of money that I was receiving and social status, it wasn't all what it was all cracked up to be, and so I left those things to conquer some things about myself and to conquer some things about ego and just life in general, and start all over to Houston several years ago. And so that's kind of when I started a Valkyrie. And from there, we do, we're a custom art company. I do tattoos too, but it's not my main driver. We have some pretty cool highlights. We do a lot of artwork for the military and for veterans stuff, and we do a lot of donation stuff. And then it's silly to say this, but it's true that I'm the first Marine or human being at all to ever paint live in an art installation at the Marine Corps birthday ball for the headquarters of recruiting. And so we've done a lot of neat stuff like that. And my staff, we actually have a full-time staff. And so they're constantly getting on to me about not bragging enough, but that's just not my style. So that's just kind of a short throat clearing. I am an atheist. I'm a former Christian. Being that I'm autistic, studying and learning has always been my hobby, if you will. I still am in continuing education. I do have some degrees. I don't really brag about them, but they're worthy. And I did go to Dallas Theological Seminary for some time. A lot of that was also doing audits on classes and stuff like that. My way to get out of religion was to dig all the way into it as deeply as I could, because I was afraid, and I felt myself losing my faith, and I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And so I think, like a lot of atheists, I am a lot more versed on the Bible than most of the people that try to debate with me. And I try to like deal with that tongue in cheek by saying, hey, don't show up to a gunfight with an experienced gunfighter and you've just got a water pistol, because we always see it kind of go back to the same tropes. And it's funny that today we're talking about the demon possession and stuff like that, because growing up in the inner cities of Houston, Tulsa, and Dallas, very, very poor. We went to those type of churches, inner city churches, and that kind of thing was very prevalent there. And I remember just how crazy it all seemed at the time. And we all grew up in the satanic panic. So, there's a lot of neat stuff to cover. So anyway, I'm here. I'm very grateful, and I love you guys.
Thank you. That's awesome. Wonderful. We have some questions for you, and I think I may have the answer to the first one. The tattoo on your neck, they're asking about that. That is your logo from your tattoo, isn't that? Or your tattoo?
Yeah. So I like net. I love tattoos. Obviously, I like net tattoos as well. But I wanted one, but just something that was every tattoo on my body has a specific meaning. And so, yes, this is my emblem for the company. And I had a very close friend of mine that taught me how to use the machine, do that for me.
That's awesome. I've got the logo for your artworks up there on the screen for those of you who want to compare what's on your neck to your actual art. That's very cool.
That's sweet.
Let me pull that over there. You got that? And we've got
that logo is actually created by one of our fans. We've got a lot of artists and digital artists that are friends and fans. And so we'd like to say thank you to Josh Camp from Dedication Photography for handling that for us.
Wow.
Wonderful. And another question we have for you is, do you happen to have a YouTube channel? Do you do that? I'm sorry? On YouTube? Do you do YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes. So Valkyrie Recovery Artworks. but I'm on there pretty rarely. We have so much going on that I've been too busy to do a lot of video. It's one of the things. In fact, one of the reasons I'm here is because so many of our friends, family, and stuff like that have been requesting more appearances because for some reason people like to hear me talk. But we are booked. We're booked all the time. I mean, it's funny to complain about the things I would have begged for when I first started out being an artist, but we're slammed all the time. And so, it's right now I've got 48, I think 49 commissions that are waiting, so yeah, we go.
What a good problem.
But yeah, so we have some material on there. A lot of it's very old. And, some of it deals with, I stopped drinking and stuff like that a long time ago. And that recovery part of that name is about that.
Gotcha. What was the name again? I want to try to type it out this time. Yeah. Valkyrie?
Sure. Valkyrie Recovery Artworks.
And that's on the YouTube. So I probably spelled it wrong, but I got it there. Valkyrie. Okay, we'll see. Artworks. I did spell it wrong, but there's a pretty close. It's art words. Anyway, I didn't realize that, or I'd have put links. I did put links to your Facebook.
Oh no, I didn't share that. Honestly, I'm on there so little, Chris, that it's one of those things where we have a website too, and I never push people there because I don't update it or jack with it. And I have folks that mess with that stuff, but they've been so busy receiving commissions lately that. It's not to be braggadocious, we're slammed, and so, we've got a spot where we need to hire someone new, but.
I thought it was just you doing paintings. You have like a group of painters that work with you. Tell me about all that.
No, I'm the only artist, but I am smart enough about business, if you will, to realize that the sales portion of it and the marketing and the other stuff like that it's best handled by other hands in some cases. And so unlike a lot of other artists, I pay people to sell my artwork. And so if any person, even honestly, Chris, if you wanted to, we have that a very open call. If you are able to sell one of our pieces, you get a portion of that, and a very high portion of it, half of it.
Awesome. That's awesome. Very, very good. Well, it keeps you busy, keeps the work going.
Yeah. Well, I have a goal. So we are in, I think I just finished up number 893 of this second 1,000 paintings. So we're pretty prolific. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Good. That is awesome. Let me check in with Ryan and see how Ryan is doing. Ryan, are you into art? Are you an artiste?
I like working with my hands, but I'm not very good at drawing, painting. Gotcha. I can paint a house.
Oh, really?
That's art.
I can do that. But as far as something on canvas, probably look like a fifth grader. I would love to, though. I would love to learn. I just don't have the time. There's so many things I'd love to learn.
Yeah. I can draw a mean stick figure. Ooh,
yeah.
Gracious.
Especially ones with boobs. One.
We have that. Yeah. That is awesome. We've got Jessie Bear, one of our regular watchers and fans of the show, has created some of the art for the show. She's fantastic. And she makes our little goat and stuff because I have no skills whatsoever. It's my bag. Let me check in real quick. Scott Duke says, good morning. Hi, Scott Duke. Nice to have you. Why? Because Weed Bro is here. I might have to check that out. Yes. If you go check out. Now, I did put a link to his Facebook account I'm not sure. Do you have a page?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a Valkyrie account on Facebook, which is Valkyrie Recovery Artworks, and then I just send people to my personal one too, which is Phantom Squirrel Howell, and the Phantom is of course the nom de plume, and Squirrel is I'm autistic, and Howell is my last name.
Okay, I get it. That's where the squirrel comes from. You explained the Phantom part.
I understand the squirrel. I am the squirrel.
Yeah, so you get it. I call my wife Squirrel too. So.
Oh, do you? Is she a little squirrely?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just mess with her because we have this thing. She does crafty stuff, and so I am renowned for stealing all of her supplies if I'm in a crunch, and so when I'm getting ready to do a live show or something like that, I will go and steal all of her brushes. And so I say that she squirrels through my stuff, but anyway, it's me.
Is she like organized and neat in her area, in her work zone, where yours is disorganized and not neat, or are you both disorganized?
Man, we are both so deep in it, and it's hard to keep that organized. And so I think in her head, I know that her area looks a different kind of messy than mine, but we're on two different sides of the basement. The whole entire basement's a studio. So.
Understood. Well, I just kind of had this vision of her going, oh, like you're clean she's organized, and I've seen your place. I've seen pictures. I just had this vision of you going over like a tornado, picking a brush just to get a single brush and leaving everything.
Oh, believe me, that happens. Yeah, that very much happens.
Yes. Tony Beat No Talk Tony is here. Good morning, Tony. Says, I'm a writer. I'm working on publishing a children's picture book about the sun's return to the Arctic. Oh. There you go.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. That sounds interesting. Philosophish, good morning. Says, good morning, folks. I was a squirrel once. I got better. Medication will go a long way. Or was it an exorcism?
Oh, yeah.
Were the demons cast out of you? Do we have any cast? See, that's the thing. One of the things about what's going on today is I'm not a Catholic. I've never been a Catholic. The evil one, which is my wife, she's an ex-Catholic, but she's not on the show. I don't think Rion, obviously, she's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. They don't have a lot of in the way of exorcisms in that cult.
They believe in like possessions and things of that nature, but they don't really discuss the exorcisms much. I think that's right. They believe if you say Jehovah's name, it will repel the demon.
Oh.
You just say Jehovah's name. That's
magic words.
His name has power. Yes. Oh my God. I can't believe my uncle even had it written in Hebrew, I think, above his door because he was so worried.
The blood kind of,
Yeah.
Interesting thing. Okay, there you go. So we've seen things like John. Well, have you seen, what is it? Constantine, the movie Constantine?
I love that show.
That's great. It's got that's a really good demon. Obviously I'm an atheist, right? I don't believe in any of that, but it's a really good visual description of or interpretation of how the Catholics kind of seem to see the world.
The spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I'm Hispanic, and so half of my family is Latin Catholic, and then several, like I said, I'm from the inner city, so a lot of us are kind of from that culture, and so that intermingling was pretty interesting for me in my world and growing up.
Interesting. Wow, I bet such a intertwined cultures.
Well, yeah, and if you remember, the Satanic Panic was such a crazy thing, and I was adolescent during those times, and so I remember being genuinely afraid, and getting called into different church services and stuff like that for Halloween, and I remember listening to Lars Ulrich, the drummer from Metallica, like debating and on being a Satanist on the radio with some Christian guy that was on at the time, and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Really? Yeah. Now, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 45.
I'm a little older. I'm 53, and the Satanic Panic was really going when I was a teen. It was really, and then shortly thereafter, they had the Dungeons and Dragons. You remember they had the movie called Wizards and Warlocks or some business. It was a movie with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks. Yeah, and it was kind of vilifying Dungeons and Dragons. Left-handed Jada for $5 said, all I did was say fish was good enough for Jehovah. Monty Python, the meaning. Fern Lovebond is here. Good morning, Fern. Thank you for joining us. Why? Because Weed Bro is here. Thank you for joining us. And Kip, Dr. Kip is in the house. Said, I'm not really paying attention, but I heard Ryan Cultastic say Hebrew. Were you talking about the Hebrews? Apparently he's
I was just saying my uncle, so he's paranoid schizophrenic, and he thought that if he had God's name. Well, the biblical God, one of the biblical gods' names on his door. It would keep the demons away, because Jehovah's Witnesses believed, you say Jehovah's name, demons are afraid and they just freaking flee. And he just took it a step further and was like, well, I'll do it in the original language. That's even like doubly strong.
So that's a good question. Which language, which God, which name? I mean, he has many names. Which name, which God, which language? Does the word Jesus, if you just say Jesus, 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 but they didn't actually call him Jesus back then. So where does the power stop, I wonder? Or start?
You had to pray in the name of Jesus. That was important.
In the name. Yes.
In the name of, you had to pray, because he's the mediator. So you can't just pray to like God. You got to like go through Jesus.
Of course, like a local bishop sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Ash, Chick Magnate is here. Says I make the coffee, so yeah, he brews. JT is here. Larry Scar, it's nice to see you again. Where have you been hiding? Says, hello, old friends. Remember the Christian freak out about barcodes? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
the
God,
Christian, yeah. You got one?
I've got something on that.
Do it.
Oh, boy. What?
I've got something on that. So without saying like the name, I work for HL, and it's a large company that does hobby supplies. So we don't use a we don't use a barcode system because of that.
Really?
For real.
Really?
For real. When I found that out, I was just so blown away because. But yeah, I remember hearing about that during the 80s, 90s, I think it was from the Jack Van Impe show or something like that on Trinity. And I remember it was going to be, we had to watch for the mark of the beast. They're going to put a barcode on our foreheads or our hands or something. And so this group still does not use that because of that. Which is crazy to me. I mean, and for me, it's just a real example of just how unfortunate and ignorant these things keep you.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
I mean, as goofy as it is, I actually feel sorry for folks that like are dug into that deep.
No doubt. Well, those people, the owners of those companies, haven't they been fined and stuff for illegally importing religious artifacts and all that business? Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff. They would hire you with all your tattoos and whatnot. I'm surprised that they would be so open to that or open enough. But now you've been there for quite a while, right?
Well, I'm a little bit of a token bonus too. I'm a veteran and a Hispanic, so.
I see why it is. That explains the tolerance. But you've been there for a while, yes?
Yeah, a couple of years now. Yeah, I like it. I love it there.
The reason why I was asking is I was kind of curious how your difference between your leaving religion and your getting employed by a basically Christian outfit, how that happened at the same time, roughly.
Oh, so it wasn't. So like this, I started with them pretty late into being an atheist. I've been an atheist for a long time. Yeah. I left Christianity proper, I think, when I was about 32. So now, one thing that's interesting is that like I'll meet Christians these days that seem to think that I was never a Christian. Like, there's this thing that goes on, and I know you as a JW would totally get it because they think, if you don't have their way, you weren't it at all, right? And so they just write off, 20 or 30 years in some cases of your devotion to something and belief in something, and the journey that it really takes and the sacrifice that it really takes and the courage to step away from something like that when you're, especially in JWs, I mean, my goodness, like you're going to lose possibly everyone and everything.
Yeah.
To walk away from that.
It triggers people to see you walk away and be happy because that's not allowed. That doesn't happen. That can't happen. So to see that happen is just really traumatizing for them.
What an interesting thought. I hadn't considered it that much. I guess it would be though, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if others see that you're happy.
Right. And that's where the shunning comes from. That's the whole idea behind the JW shunning, is because they need to shield the flock from what it looks like to get out of the sheep herders, cage. Yeah.
Oh, sheep herders, and we're still freaking in the sheep herders. Yeah.
That's true. Which religion were you, Don? Which branch of Christianity? You weren't JW.
I would just say Christian, as a blanket term, because half my I'm Hispanic, so half my family was Catholic, and then the other half was kind of inner city. I don't know what the hell you'd call that. Southern Baptist mixed with Pentecostal.
Non-denominational.
Folks dancing down the aisles, and I watched a gal when I was 9 give birth in the spirit. I've seen some shit.
Wait, if I had glass, excuse me. Come again?
Yeah.
You had me.
The thing is, what's that?
You had me, and you're like, give birth, and I'm like, wow. And then you're like, in the spirit. And I'm like,
I know. I was like, whoa. And then I was like, oh.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. How and why?
I was intrigued.
When these things are commonplace, it starts to get hard to delineate some kind of where's the line as far as what is a spiritual thing and what is a fucking crazy person, you know what I mean? Being crazy. And so, we would be in these churches and people are dancing around and being slain in the spirit. And, Jim Bob over here is, playing baseball in the spirit. Where's the line? Right. Since there is no line, because, these things become commonplace. And, you go to Sunday lunch after that, and it's just supposed to be normal. But you've just engaged in this crazy thing. It's kind of like doing communion. It's cannibalism, celebrated in the weirdest way that you wouldn't accept in any other form. But it's commonplace, so you just kind of write it off. Excuse me.
That is so true. The whole cannibalism thing. There's so many things about religion. One of the time I saw Christopher Hitchens debating this Jewish rabbi, and he said religion poisons everything, and that was kind of the point he was going on. And he said religion makes good people do bad things, harmful things. And then later on, the rabbi was talking about how whenever his son was circumcised, he made a joke about how, his haircut, he got a haircut that was worse on him like that. And then Hitchens is like, see how you, a good person, just made a joke about physically mutilating your own son? Yeah, you're right. I mean, got him right there in front of all those people. It was really good stuff.
That's the Hitch slap, right?
Yes, one of the many good ones. Geo Sam is here. Don't we have people moderating? Don't we have moderators around here? Good morning, Geo Sam. Thank you for joining us today. A lot of people have popped in. Grumpy Librarian is here. Good morning. And Henry Mars. Good morning, Henry Mars. You're not allowed to be happy outside of religion, says Henry. That's true. And I can see how part of the shunning them makes you sad. So Ryan, you're going to leave the thing. So me and the family are going to shun you and you're going to be sad. I see that because every other aspect of your life gets better. So they do what they can to make you feel bad. And that's the only thing they can at that point. And now you're separated from them and those people you care about. And that makes you feel sad. And that destroys the image that you're having a good time outside of their care. Interesting thoughts.
Because you'd be having your cake and eating it too, as far as they're concerned. You'd be getting your free life, but still be getting the love of your family. You got to choose one.
Jen with one in says, remember the hymn Power in the Blood? Now it's all super creepy and gross. One of the ones that always gets me, I still get it. And if I start the song, I bet almost all of you can finish the song for me. But if I start out by singing, washed in the, you can finish the blood of Jesus. Right. Washed in the blood of Jesus. Is that not creepy? That's like,
it's terrible. And we weren't even capable of thinking of it under those terms because we'd been so washed in the ideas that this was just commonplace. And it sounded even beautiful, right, to say it. And so now when you step back and you get away from it, it really is funny to look back and be like, I can't believe I engaged in this really disgusting stuff. I mean, I even try to justify it these days, like to make myself feel better about having grown up that way, because I don't want to identify with just how horrid it is. But, I study the Bible more as an atheist than I ever did it as a religious person, just because I find it very interesting. And now that I do some debating here and there, it's so easy to win by just using the Bible itself, And so I find that most Christians don't read it. And you'd have to not, you'd have to not. I mean, if the best thing you can say about your religious text is that you can now safely write off the first 3/4 of it, then, or cherry pick it, then that's pretty sad praise indeed.
That's true. That's
a great way to put it.
That is. Jolene is here. Thank you for joining us this morning, Jolene. One of the things that always gets me is the way in which they write off the 3/4. Oh, we've got the new covenant with God now, and Jesus, we don't need. I'm like, wait, but the Old Testament shows you God and what He's like. The new covenant with Testament doesn't change the nature of God. He's horrific. Girl, are you going to yawn out on us again today?
No, I'll be fine. I'm fine today.
Okay.
Well, another thing that's funny is that the Old Testament's very clear about the immutability of God and His laws, right? Saying that God is never changing. In fact, Christians have this written all over their houses, unless they need it to change, right? So then, Jesus is also very clear about a couple things. One, that He did not come here to make peace, right? He came here to bring a sword. And then on top of that, He didn't come here to change any of the laws. I mean, so many Christians, including myself, will forget that, this was a Jewish religion. And he was basically the Jewish David Koresh of his time.
Oof.
I love saying that. That's a great way to put it. This is Jack. He's the lighting operator on the show. He makes sure I'm
He's huge.
Yeah. He is. He's all right. I have 5 dogs. And each
is
one,
he a dachshund?
Well, he looks like a dachshund, but actually he's got these really long legs. You know what a daddy long leg spider looks like?
I love that.
That's kind of what he looks like. Like a lifted dachshund is what he looks like.
I love it.
Yeah, because he looks like a dachshund, but he's got really long legs. There you go, buddy. He wanted out.
He's a dachshund on mud tires.
Yes. The points about Jesus and stuff like that, those are just the smaller points that they don't, I like to really bang on how He wasn't sacrificed. He was executed. There was a difference. There are rules to sacrifices, and He didn't follow those rules. And here's
he was done by unclean people. If you call it a sacrifice, how could it have been administered by unclean people?
Exactly right.
The Romans weren't clean.
They weren't, and they were right. They certainly didn't pray, did they?
They were the beast.
Yeah, they weren't clean or priestly. Yeah,
that's right. Fern Lebon says, and Jesus explicitly says He is not abolishing the law. Plus, over and over again, James shames people for not obeying Moses' law. I'll give you something, Don. If you don't know it, you can add it to your arsenal of knowledge. And that's that, there's a point where Jesus goes out and he condemns the Pharisees. And the reason why, do you know what I'm talking about? Where He condemns them? Okay, and He really goes off on the Pharisees. Do you know why He goes off on the Pharisees?
Well, it's depending on which instance we're talking about. Right. There are a couple of them, but usually it's because they're being legalistic about the law.
Well, in the case I'm talking about, which my old old man brain is not working. Somebody will correct me in the chat here in a minute, I'm sure. The reason why He was getting after them and upset with them was because they were not following the law. And the law they were not following was that they had disobedient sons, and they were not stoning them to death. And that's what Jesus was going off about these people. So this notion that He fulfilled the laws, and so now you don't have to follow the laws, you just have to follow Him. That's stupid. I've heard Christians say that.
Well, that's from the Pauline epistles, right? And so what people forget is that Paul and Peter were having a fight throughout the whole New Testament. So if you actually understand the way the New Testament's written, it is an argument between Paul and Peter about how these laws are supposed to be followed and what Jesus is actually meant. But Paul never met Jesus. He had a hallucination on the road and then started running around. He was, again, another David Koresh, right? So
exactly.
He's a crazy guy.
There was John the Baptist, and then Jesus, and then Paul.
Yeah, David Koresh, of course, when people talk about that, it's not crazy. It's just the next one.
I love using David Koresh as an example. And one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up, by the way. It really, he is, him and, for example, another example would be Joseph Smith. You know, just any one of these charismatic guys. Jim Jones. Yes. Yeah. Yes, any one of them that comes along and takes that religion, puts himself up as a prophet, and leads on. That's the same thing that Paul did. Jesus was teaching X. Paul came along and taught something completely different than what the Jesus taught, and then told everybody that, well, we assume, right? Because Paul's the one who allegedly, anyway, it's a mess of nonsense. There we go.
Well, and what's funny is in the Old Testament, you have instances of God changing people's heart and sending even evil spirits to do things or whatever. So, and you know, how would we be able to determine what God was doing if this was actually happening to Paul? He could have been Paul could have been possessed.
Could have been.
As far as the text is concerned.
There you go. Or anybody could claim that, you know, based on that, if we can just realistically think that God can possess people and make them do things, change their hearts, then anybody nowadays could literally do something, unalive somebody, and then claim God told them to, and you can't prove he didn't. So I don't know why more people
think about those mothers that have actually done that.
Oh,
there are modern mothers that have done that.
How many times have we ever seen it to where God told me to harm someone was a legitimate legal defense that worked? And they're like, oh, God told you to do that? Okay. I don't think we've ever seen that.
Right. And then these people are swearing on a Bible, right, before they go into their court proceeding. And that same Bible could be used to justify or denigrate their case. And so it's hilarious because, you know, I tell people, I'm like, I'm not telling the truth if I go to court because I put my hand on a book and made a wish, right? I don't believe in that book at all, right? So like it means nothing to me to do that action. In fact, what's funny is at Trump's inauguration, he actually, if you watch it, didn't put his hand on the Bible at all. This Christian man.
This Christian man. Well, you know, that's kind of the thing a lot of people don't know is you don't really have to. You can swear on any book you want.
Well, there's a whole idea that action in and of itself is taking the Lord's name in vain, right? So swearing on the Lord's name is the blasphemy of taking his name in vain. So there's a whole school of thought that way, that by doing that, you are actually committing the unforgivable sin of blasphemy.
It's weird, right? Because, I mean, then it's almost like everything you do thereafter is even directly against God. Like
right.
Anything wrong that you do, it's like, damn, you went above and beyond to swear on God. I don't do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's some people who, and you'll pardon me because of this for if I do this, there's some people who don't differentiate the difference between swear and swear.
Right.
You know, when you
swear saying a curse word is different.
That's right. And they just don't.
I speak, so I'm a linguist, right? And so I speak several languages. I apologize. But, you know, cuss words are different. And, you know, if you say Calvary, for instance, in Canada, it's a cuss word. But it's not down here.
Really? It should be.
They vary a great deal. Yeah. If the worst thing to call somebody in German is a Schweinhund or a pig dog.
Fine.
Yeah.
I want to
say the F-bomb in school.
Oh, can you?
Schweinhund.
Real quick, it was a Fern Lovebond says told me about the Jesus criticizes the Pharisees prior to, in Mark 7:9-13. Now, I asked the chat to clarify because what we're doing is we're just throwing around generalized terms.
Yeah.
So chat corrected the situation. Chat said. Jesus criticized the Pharisees for prioritizing their human traditions over God's commandments. He gives specific examples. God's commandment, honor your father and your mother. And the other commandment, anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. So Jesus is getting on to these people for not honoring these rules and choosing traditional family thing over this. That's what Jesus is going on about. So whenever these light Christians come in and say Jesus wasn't about, he changed the rules. He did not change the rules. He was there very much. to confirm them.
Well, and that's, when we look at the 10 Commandments thing, right? So, like, I've been involved with TST for a while, too, and the 10 Commandments, trying to get them pulled down in different places. If you want to display the 10 Commandments, it's my opinion, you should have to display their actual punishments as well. If you want to have these on display, let's also talk about how you're supposed to punish them.
Right.
Agreed. Because we weren't based on these laws, because we definitely aren't based on the punishments.
I wonder if there'd be a way, like where it says, you shouldn't have this theory, any person in the government who's broken one of those 10 commandments, like been infidelis with his wife or something, should have a little badge saying, I've broken this commandment.
Yeah.
Jen with one in his hand, don't boil a baby goat in its mother's milk. That's one of the other sets of commandments that they don't.
Yeah, there's 613 total commandments in the Bible.
Yeah.
So why don't they post them all?
That's right. This gets so complicated. So what I'm going to do, we're going here. It's a great show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break. We're going to run one of our little things. I think what we're going to do is go with Conspirowin today for our viewers. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll continue the show. We'll actually do our Theocracy Watch with Rion when we come back.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say, no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us as we took a little break, topped off the coffee. Katie Dodson asks, why do Christian asks if I found Jesus? I thought he'd been nailed down. Next time, use the wall. In the back pocket. I tell you, use screws. Screws are more, they hold better than nails. I'm just saying. And I saw a new face in the chat. Thank you for joining us, new person, Otterpop. Well, good morning. I don't recognize your name if you've been here before. Thank you. Well, Oceanus Helios is here as well. And Ryan's got the yawnies. Not as bad as yesterday, though. She could barely, she looked like this for the first 10 minutes of the show. She was yawning behind her hand. Tema Extema says, I'm convinced Chris is a cunning linguist. I actually...
That's funny.
I appreciate that, Tema. Thank you for the vote of confidence. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Theocracy Watch. Dawn, I can only see half your name over. Dawn, Theocracy Watch is a little section of our show where Rion gives us a news report on the theocracy that's being imposed on us throughout our country. And then she'll do a little thing when we come back. We'll talk about it. They can hear you, but they won't be able to see you. Okay? Here we go.
You're tuned into the Atheist Morning Show on the DAM Network. And this is Theocracy Watch.
There she is.
For years, corporations lined their pockets with rainbow merch and parade sponsorships. But when Project 2025 rolled in, they didn't stand with the community that made them rich. They back the movement trying to erase them. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we track how Christian conservatism influences not only government, but also shapes corporate behavior and the social standards that follow. This Pride season, some of the most recognizable corporate sponsors are withdrawing from parades, scaling back the merchandise, and distancing themselves from public LGBTQIA support. Add insult to injury, financial records show many of these same companies are quietly donating to lawmakers and political groups pushing dehumanizing legislation. This pattern raises serious questions about who corporations really serve when inclusion becomes inconvenient. The queer community represents a powerful economic force, estimated at $3.9 trillion globally and $1.4 trillion in annual U.S. spending power alone. That's a lot, y'all. For years, corporations leaned into that reality, rolling out Pride-themed merchandise, sponsoring parades, and launching marketing campaigns that promised year-round inclusion, all while making buku bucks off of bodies. But in 2025, the tone has changed. Companies such as Target, Bud Light, Meta, PepsiCo, Comcast, MasterCard, and Citi have either withdrawn or reduced their Pride sponsorships. Some withdrew products entirely, others ended long-term partnerships. Major events like San Francisco Pride and World Pride DC lost multiple corporate sponsorships. Now, public findings show these same companies continue to fund conservative politicians actively working to dismantle gay rights and body autonomy. Be so for real now. You're going to just cash in Pride checks just to hand them over to politicians trying to erase us? Deloitte, which previously launched a Queer All Year hashtag campaign, donated $679,000 to lawmakers and PACs backing anti-LGBTQIA legislation. AT&T gave more than $1.2 million to politicians with 0 ratings from the Human Rights Campaign. Comcast, CVS, Amazon, and Walmart have all contributed to candidates who oppose the Equality Act, support gender-affirming care bans, and promote censorship of gay education content. But sure, throw a rainbow on a tote bag and call it solidarity. Delulu is the Salulu, apparently. No business should have more human rights than actual human beings, and bankrolling oppression with impunity. Allyship is only transactional to corporate America. They chase profit margins off of people living in the margins, which is why BDS matters. If our existence is just another line item, then pooling our money is the least we can do, because allyship should not be for sale. So until next time, stay curious.
Very interesting. Let me go here. Can you hear me?
Pulling out a pride parade.
Pulling out a pride parade. Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. So
okay, good.
Making lots of money off of rainbow pride merch and t-shirts and parades and all that. Now it's crickets.
And this isn't just political, though. This is, somebody could say, yeah, this is just politics because there's the anti-DEI, but the political side of that is driven by religion. It's the anti-gay, anti-trans stuff that drives this stuff.
Well, again, this is one of those funny instances that just like, I will remind folks when they're getting a tattoo that it's banned in the Bible, right? And it's just a few verses earlier that being a gay person is banned, right? So like you'll see a cherry pick right there, right? So like here, it's okay for me to get a tattoo because, Jesus made that okay. Well, why did it not make it okay for all of these other sins as well?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. So like it's a funny little cherry pick example for me.
They just
especially
use their hate. That's all they do.
Say that again, Rion. Sorry.
They just use the Bible to back up their hate. They ignore anything that could be pulled out from the Bible that's good and maybe helpful.
Yeah, nobody ever says context when it's something that they think sounds good.
Yes, correct.
That's right. And part of it, let's see if I can fix this for us. I'm going to try and see if I can change something. I hate to, can you go down a little bit in your screen there, Dawn? only because we're cutting you off about, yeah. If you look at this, there you go. That's perfect. We can see your whole head now, most of it.
Ew, he has a
I'm
head.
working on it. Hold on.
There you go. There, almost.
How's
The
that?
way, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Look at that. Yeah, just because the way it's cutting us off is. Look at you. Whole
Sorry,
head.
guys. Yeah.
Look at that handsome man.
Yeah.
KCA Randy is here this morning. Axel Ignite is here. John Fapiano, thank you for joining us. I think John's got to go to work though. I Am God has shown up. Finally.
Thank you, God.
We've been waiting for you, God.
We have exorcisms we need to do.
We do. We do.
Yeah.
So that's the whole. I've never really experienced the exorcism situation. It's just there for me to mock. We joke about you. You notice how it's never like a Jamaican or an atheist or anybody but a Catholic that gets possessed by the devil. Anybody who, if they don't believe in that stuff, it doesn't seem to have any power on them. But if they do,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
you know.
I don't see the.
Well, I always think it's funny that these demons are waiting to like go to church so that they can, for some reason, like you always see it happening in church environments. Like it's not happening at the workplace. These guys are waiting to show up on Sunday on church to show that they're possessing people.
But what end? Well, I don't I don't get the point. If you're a being who can pretty much do anything, anywhere, anyhow, anyway, what the frick is the possessing a human? Because why? For what? Do something you already can do anyhow? I'm just so confused about that. What's the draw?
We know what it actually is, right? So it is spectacle, right? And so what it reminds me of is like in the Old Testament, magic was very real in the Bible. These were magical times when they actually believed in magic words and stuff like that. And so like I always thought it was funny that when Moses goes to see Pharaoh, Pharaoh's guys can do some of this shit, right? So like they're able to like turn their wands into snakes and all this other stuff. And nobody's ever asking, how'd they do that? If God's the only God, right? How are these guys able to do similar stuff? Or when Elijah is doing his tests of God, these other guys are able to do their magic tricks too, and they're similar enough that these people are having to be convinced, and then finally they're having to be slaughtered, all of them.
Yep.
Which the Bible's answer to everything wrong is to kill everyone.
We've talked about that several times on the show. It's supposed to be a guide for a guide for human morality and stuff like that. But no problem is ever solved in the Bible with sitting down, thinking about it, talking about it, and being reasonable. It's always ugly, hate, violence.
There's no compromise. There's no conversation. And even when God pretends that he's going to compromise, as he did with Abraham, he's like, all right, if there's 10 righteous people, the whole city's going to be safe. It's good. So he even compromised, and then he reneged on that compromise. So he can't be trusted.
Can't be trusted.
Well, the thing that's always overlooked is that these are supposed to be solutions to a problem. Like Noah was supposed to be a solution. Like casting them out of Eden was supposed to be a solution. So but it doesn't ever work out. Like the Bible is just God fucking up over and over and over again, trying to fix it by killing everyone, and then also failing.
Yep.
If anything, it just shows the ineptitude of what is obviously a man-made creation.
Yep.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Kip Davis says, good morning, Dr. Kip says, I was raised conservative evangelical Baptist. Even in our church, there was once an exorcism. Yeah, I guess I guess they do stuff like that in the Baptist stuff. I never got into the Baptist. I like picking on the Southern Baptists because those are the ones that chose slavery. And Mitch McConnell.
They're still hardcore, bigots, man. Come on, let's keep it.
Well, it's biblically sound. Like what people forget is that slavery is biblically sound, right? So like they were standing on an argument that made sense. It sucks and it's completely wrong. And believe me, I'm a Mexican, so I'm just trying not to get deported today. But the fact of the matter is, these folks, they had biblical grounding for the things they were arguing.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. Didn't want my spirit to leave my body. I'm glad you came in there last second.
Right. That was perfect.
For $5, Raven Lunatic says, what's the definition of a reverse exorcism? It's when you ask the devil to get the priest out of your little boy.
That is ice cold, but so true.
Raven. Raven is a repeat offender. Dr. Kip, Baptist is a huge label. They are not all the same. That's right. Not even remotely. One of my best friends is a Baptist minister in a fairly progressive denomination. Yes, I know. That's it's a very broad.
Well, the problem is there are about well over 1,000 iterations of Christianity. Each is based on some some form of doctrine or doctrinal disagreement.
I thought
so like at the end of the day, though, whether you're JW or worshiping by handling snakes, they're all Christianity. So the thing is like I'm sure there are definitely different denominations of Islam too. But when we're talking about its wrongs, we just talk about Islam.
They try to pretend there's not, and even the JWs try to pretend that there's this unification, and stuff is different. We just don't necessarily are cognizant of it.
Yeah. Well, and the JW separated because they thought the end times were upon us, right? And so, there's this whole there's this whole story about how Armageddon was coming. They set a date. They set aside their select people. That's why they believe in the 41,000. That's like all this stuff is very real to them. And so, but the thing is just like every other Armageddon prediction, it didn't fucking happen. And so, when I went to Waco, I made a video there that I shared, and I just went to check out Mount Carmel and all that stuff, and the people that were praying, burning alive, were praying to the same God and had just as good reason to pray to that God as probably the DEA agents going to raid them.
I know, man. I there's this huge clip of a group of people singing a song about like Trump voting for Donald Trump, and then you find like those same people were getting like deported not too long ago, and it's not. I mean, it's actually not funny. That it really isn't funny, but it's like I don't know what you thought you were voting for. It's kind of strange to me.
I mean, my mom's Hispanic and voted. It was based upon this. I don't know how they could have gotten this idea that he was a Christian. It's crazy, but
and that he only
I guarantee he was religious based.
Bad immigrants, but without due process, how do you know who's a bad immigrant? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And part of it is $1 billion in misinformation paid out by the right between Donald Trump's campaign, Elon Musk's money, and all that. $1 billion plus, at least, of misinformation spread out across the United States. I feel poisoned people's opinions, such as your mother's, and using this. That's my thinking. It was a lot of misinformation.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I'm not one that I don't really, vote or do any of that stuff at all anymore. A lot of it is for a multifaceted thing. Part of it is so that I can be available to every customer because we have, the Jesus painting we were talking about, that was commissioned by a pastor. So I do a lot of work for Christian people, and they know, who I am. I make that very clear. But, then again, there's a little bit of notoriety in having a very well-known atheist artist paint your Jesus. That gives it a different new value to it. Yeah, and it's not being mean to them or anything like that. I if anything, I remember so well being so steeped in that belief that it almost hurts me to win arguments against them, right? Because that they're always showing up with no ammo, and I try to be as kind as I can about it by telling them, hey, look, go read your Bible first and then come back. Let's, go dig into whatever subject you want to visit with me about, because chances are I know it a lot better than you do. And I'm not being rude, but that's just generally the case.
It is the case.
They never do, but
they never do.
I genuinely feel sad when, when I've got just an arsenal of weapons and they just show up with faith. And bad science. I want to mention Rainbow Ash bought one of our little cups. That's the goat that Jesse Bear did the
Daily Atheist Morning Show. It's really good. And this is a photo. Right? Yes, Jesse Bear did. But Rainbow Ash bought it and sent a fantastic. It's a great photograph. If you're into photography, she did a great job. It's really good.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
I'm going to take a quick switch here, and I'm going to stop sharing that. And, a Rainbow Lunatic said here in the chat, said, I love telling Armageddon jokes like there's no tomorrow. And other people are talking about, it says, Raven Lunatics, your puns make the show better. Thank you. I know we may have to start splitting some of the coin with Raven if you keep this up. And so, yeah, thank you very much, Raven, for being awesome. Appreciate you. Let me go over here to my Facebook area over here, and I've got some photographs I want to share with you folks, if you don't mind. Let me go here, and this is some of there it is. Some of Don doing his magic. I'm going to put this biggie on the screen if I can. All right, I'm going to go here under leave of Brutus and the rest. There we go. Biggie highlight. Okay, so here we've got these are some of the photos you sent me, some of his artwork. Is that not fantastic?
Okay.
Yeah, and he is an artist. Like, you look at his studio, he's got a studio and there's freaking paint everywhere. This man has no care or concern. And that's just, to me, that's the sign of a pure artist, somebody who's just into it. That's their bag. This is some of this. Notice up here, I don't know if you guys can see my little mouse wiggling. You can. Oh, that's cool. We've got the upside down pentagram. It's just some random piece of art. There he is, looking like a grown up. He shines up pretty well. Yeah. And there he is, looking like him. But also, I mean, I'm glad this is on the internet because I don't know you very well. I don't want to piss you off. You look beefy. I don't think I could outrun you.
I'm so hard to make mad. It's ridiculous. I've got no ego.
So you're saying be calm as you beat my ass. I understand. That's great. So these are some of the art, though. These guys. I mean, granted, those are you. I was trying to get some more of your art that these people could see some of the things.
Yeah, it's so the easiest way is just to go to Phantom, Squirrel, Howell, or that's one of our models right there. That's actually her in that. That's a portrait of her.
Oh, gorgeous!
Oh, really?
I love the bright colors in your art.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I do a mixture of anything. We'll paint anything people ask for, but they love to request those bright colors. So we that piece is a private ownership. We're actually doing a piece for the Lincoln Library here in Springfield too.
Dope.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, we've got an art piece in just about every government office here in Springfield. In fact, the mayor's got a piece. All the unions do. We're actually pretty well supported here. It's interesting.
That's wonderful that they would do that. Look at that stuff. That's all the different variations. Raven Lunatic. Well, we see Miss Non Sequitur said the shirtless pic was a work of art.
I know that alone.
Raven Lunatic says very handsome man. Makes a change from looking at Chris. Very mean, Raven. Very mean. So yeah, that is fantastic. And you said, what is there a website you were directing me to?
Yeah, if they go to the Valkyrie Facebook page, Valkyrie Recovery Artworks, or if you want to make it easy, just go to Phantom with an F, Phantom Squirrel Howell. Phantom Squirrel is all one word. It comes up pretty quick. We're pretty prolific. But yeah, you can, and this is going to sound, well, I'll make it sound the way it sounds. If you look up the word sold, you'll see a ton of our artwork represented there because we've sold, we're in our second 1,000 and on 898 right now.
Nice.
Oh, really? Wow, that's fantastic. Let me go here.
Yeah, so that's 2,000. Yeah, that, at this point, it'd be, just about 2,898 pieces sold.
I'm going to share again. Let me go here. My friends, and there you go. This is more of a wide view of some of the artwork that he's got. This is from the Facebook page, which I've got linked down below if you guys are interested in going and getting some commissioned art. There's so much, and I produce, sometimes 2 or 3 pieces a week. So even my staff can't really keep up with our production.
Jeez.
That's fantastic. That's a good problem.
That's just one piece. They all react to black light and everything like that. And they glow in the dark and do all kinds of cool stuff. The Minnesota Vikings piece that you're watching is going to be really wicked cool. See the lightning in there?
Oh, yeah. That glow in the dark effect is so cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of really neat stuff. In fact, if you'll use a mixture, we pioneered this new process that's actually patented now called 3D glow. And what it does is if you use a low intensity ambient normal light coupled with a regular old school tube fluorescent black light and a newer, more modern ultraviolet, the pieces actually go 3D on you.
Wow.
That is really cool. I saw you first starting off. Go ahead, Brian.
What's that?
No, I just said is it because of the way they reflect light differently or whatever?
Yeah. So it's just the way that the light mixes. It plays tricks on your eyes. It's super cool because it's genuine 3D and it's neat to look at.
One of of our viewers asked, or stated, in fact, that the Hulk was indeed incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a private commission piece. In fact, there's a picture on there somewhere of a whole wall. Like you'll see when we do gallery shows, we usually get a full wall or a full room dedicated to our work. So we've never actually, as a point of fact, we've never attended a gallery show that we didn't sell out.
Really? That is, man.
And again, that sounds braggadocious, so I don't say that stuff a lot, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's so many artists out there who struggle to get their work represented and seen and viewed. And it's great to hear a good story of an artist really getting their work out. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, and one thing too, I grew up very, very poor, like I said, in Dallas, Oak Cliff, and South Houston. So I make my artwork two things that are very important to me. One, you can touch it. Your kids, it's resin coated, and so it basically is epoxy resin coated, so your kids can touch it with peanut butter on their hands, and you can wipe it off with Windex.
Wow. That's
two,
awesome.
We'd never make a duplicate piece, and we don't make any prints. And so, like, if you order a piece from us, that's the only one on the planet, and that's why they're numbered. And so, we'll paint you anything you like, but we'll only do it one time. And so any piece that you see, that's the only one, like when you own one. And they're extremely affordable. I make them to where any budget can be able to afford one of our pieces.
That was kind of one of my questions. I'm not familiar terribly with the art world and how rude it was to me to go, what kind of price range does it?
No, I'm happy to discuss it. So the piece you'll see us do the most, and you have to understand, this is an area of contention with other artists because they hate how low our prices are. Because one of the reasons we sell so well and so much is because we make it very affordable. The pieces that you're looking at right now, they're about 24 by 36, except for that large double angel right there. That double angel is a lot larger. So that piece is about 500 for that size, and it's huge. I mean, it's 68 by 40. Yeah, it's a beast.
Goodness gracious.
That was a private commission by a collector. And then the smaller 24 by 36 size, we only do we just do those for 200. That's what both of those sizes are. And that's a full private commission that you can change as much as you want to about it. And again, we've got some cool sell points that nobody else has, again, being the only human in history, the only Marine in history to paint live at a Marine Corps birthday ball.
That is cool.
For the headquarters and some other stuff like that. We've got neat stuff in there that my staff's always getting mad at me about not bragging about.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it is done. You've done some.
Behind me, you'll see
amazing.
You'll see these portraits. Like this is a guy's wife, and then this is a coworker. Oh. So like what ends up happening a lot is somebody's like, hey, turn my wife into a modern art piece, and we do a lot of that.
Cool.
That is good.
So yeah, you can do Imagine Me on your you can do Imagine Me on your AI thing and have fun with that on Facebook, or you can actually have us make the real thing for you.
That's wonderful. That is fantastic.
There you go.
Man, you've got your shit together. I mean, really, I'm impressed. I am. We're gonna run one of our little goat scented flesh candle commercial. I think. I don't know if you're familiar with our goat scented flesh candle.
I love it.
You can, if you can see this, well, you can. So for those of you who don't know, Don only has his phone going and he can't actually see the chat. So we'll maybe because we're bound to have him back. He's been a fantastic guest. We'll get him hooked up with a computer. He got
I
paint.
will
all
try
over
to
his
remedy
computer.
that situation before we do this again.
But real quick, we did miss Raven Lunatic, a $2 super chat says, who has hooves and artistic talent? Vincent Van Goat. Goats into flesh candle commercial. And then for $5, Raven Lunatic said, whenever my artistic boyfriend is sad, I let him draw things on my body. I gave him a shoulder to crayon.
Oh, that's cute.
No. Adam has, I know, Raven's good. He keeps our chat lively. Adam, member for 3 months. Thank you for being a channel supporter, Adam, for 3 months. Okay, I'm going to run our ghost scented flesh candle commercial. If you don't have any ghost scented flesh candles, or if you're a Jew and you want to no longer sacrifice goats.
Have you sinned again? Oh, and it's bad this time. A chicken just won't do. But wait. You don't have a goat for your burnt offering. Oh no, the Lord's wrath is upon you.
Insignificant person whose name I don't know, you have sinned. Probably. I shall smite thee.
What do? You're all out of goats. She left you for another man.
Fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented flesh candles.
No goat? No problem. Just light one of these bad boys and let the sweet, savory scent of burning goat flesh rise up to the heavens.
So, is that goat?
It's easy, it's fast, and deluxe models even have patented technology that produces a goat screaming sound as the wick burns.
Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented candles. Save a goat, burn a candle.
Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented flesh candles are part of our You Do You Jew interfaith outreach program.
When you sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. When the Lord requires 100 snow, light a candle or you're going to hell.
Gone. So
Okay.
I'll come back. Yeah,
We'll talk about it. We're back on the stream now. Thank you. Right-handed Sis is, and of course, missed my joke. I did miss your joke. Let me see. Right-handed Sith is here. Good morning, right-handed Sith. See, we got left-handed Jedi and the right-handed Sith. Are you into sci-fi?
me.
Oh yeah, you. Are you into sci-fi?
Oh yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh, okay.
A huge nerd. Yeah.
Okay, because I actually used to do Sci-Fi Saturday, and that was whenever I would, just talk on. Because if I talk about sci-fi too much on the show, the atheist people are not all into sci-fi, and they start to roll their eyes. I don't understand, but anyway, so we're big.
I love it.
I did miss your joke.
If you could do that again, and I would show up as many times as you allowed me. I love it.
Part of the deal with the Sci-Fi Saturday is that, it's I do this 5 days a week for 2 hours a day, and it's nice to not have to do it. But it's also my pleasure. I love sitting and talking about sci-fi. So it's really, I've only missed like 3 weeks now. Is that right, Ryan? Something like that? 3 or so weeks since I stopped doing the. Yeah.
Well, just because you bring it back here and there doesn't mean that you need to bring it back in force. It's one of those things you could just do here and there.
Mm-hmm. And I've got other people who are interested in it. I had people in the chat going, "Hey, bring the stuff back." So I'm down. But the deal about it is, if I bring it back, I don't want to feel the kind of like the pressure of the regular show. Just want it to be more relaxed and more fun. So we were. Oh wait. I want to tell you something. Have you heard of the Ark Encounter in Williamstown, Kentucky?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've never been, but I've seen a lot of atheist videos on it. Is it still even open?
It is still open. And on July 7th, they're doing the Ark Encounter protest. Every year on July 7th, that's their annual celebration for opening the Ark. So some atheists go and protest it. And so we'll have speakers there. It's kind of a big deal. We are going to be hosting that. I'm going to be the on-site host of the show, emceeing the show, introducing the other speakers like R and Ron, all those people who are going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. July 7th. And the organizer of that, Joe, the Kentucky atheist, is in the chat. Good morning, Joe. July 6th. Damn it. Did I say July 7th? I'm a bad person. July 6th. Yes, for those of you, even if you can't be there,
7-6.
yes, keep an eye on the streams because I'm going to be doing some streaming from live there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So,
does it happen to be in a flood zone? I'm just curious. Just how funny would it be if somebody stopped at their toilets and they just flooded?
But they did get flooded out. The huge Ark replica has leaked several times, and they've had to spend a lot of money to fix it.
Stop!
That's awesome.
And I believe the Kentucky Atheist could even remind me. I think they even got or tried to get government funds to help the repair, and that's the problem we have with.
Oh fuck!
Is that the government is funding this crap, and they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Now, Kent Ham is the individual doing the thing. It's his place. But have you ever heard of Ken Hovind? Ken Hovind.
I'm familiar with both.
Yes. Okay. Ken Hovind has heard about this and that we're going to be there protesting, and he separately is going to bring his group of religious individuals to protest our protest on the day.
Oh, that sounds great.
Very fun. It would be nice to have a muscle-bound individual such as yourself there.
Might have to say who to be scared.
Hey, I'll put in and show up. I'll show up.
You ain't scared. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. There was a whole big court case about the flood. Yeah, apparently. Ace Trades is here. All right, so let me, before I get too far away, I almost forgot to run our. Did I forget to run our commercial for the Go Candles? I haven't run it yet. Have I?
Well, you ran some commercial that I got.
I thought we just did.
Did we? All right. I'm old and I spoke a lot of words.
If nothing, we all got up and walked away for nothing.
Okay, then. Hovind is pathologically ignorant, says Ace Trades. I don't know. My brain sometimes I've pushed a lot of cannabis through this brain.
That's okay.
It's like a little filter, a little cannabinoid filter. Kentucky Atheist says, I got some rednecks that will steal his shoes if he acts up. That's good.
Yeah.
It really is. It's going to be a lot of fun. But now back to the questions that we were talking about before or while we were at commercial. You're right. We were at commercial. I do now remember. The little synapses are firing off in there. Whenever somebody does get a commission from you, normally they go into a line. And how long does it take before you get to them unless it's a special order? I'm just talking about a normal, regular order. So if somebody pops a thing, how long you?
So that can depend. So if we do have a ton of return customers, I've got a gal that could open up a museum. She's my biggest collector. Oh, wow. She's probably got almost 50 of my pieces. And so really? If she calls, she goes first. If you've been around, we take care of you. So in that said, we've had almost 25 years of 5-star ratings, never broken. And so we've got that many fans. And so like when they call, sometimes they'll pay right up front. They'll pay and tip up front. And so if folks do that, that's the fastest way to get your work quicker on the list. That said, it usually takes, I've never had it take longer than about three months, but there's some time there. We're booked solid. I mean, I don't remember a time in the last 5 years and that's including during COVID, that we weren't booked solid.
Nice.
Oh yeah. You mentioned that earlier. So if there is a waiting list, then I knew there would be. That's why I was kind of telling you, letting anybody know who is watching and interested in your art that it might take.
Yeah, and so what I was doing there is kind of a throat clearing to address. We get a common question of, hey, when it slows down, that does not happen. And I know that that's not the case with most artists. So, when I first started out, and a lot of other artists that I know are begging for work, and we're just not. And so it's hard to say that in a way that doesn't sound all ego. And that's just a big part of my life, is conquering ego. So I really do try to not do that as much as I can, but it's not an overstatement to say that we're booked full always. And it's better to just get in as fast as you can. We even allow people to make a quick down payment and to get their name on the list, even if they don't have the money right now. We just need to see some skin in the game. It usually makes it easier. We will take a commission and do cash on delivery. It just takes me a little bit to get to them because obviously the priority is lower because we don't have anything to measure skin in the game on. It's kind of like I'm a tattoo artist too. So when everybody I meet has got a tattoo they want to talk to me about. That's almost every conversation I ever have. And so I meet somebody, they want to talk tattoos, and that's cool. I'm good with it. But at the same time, just because you've got a cool idea doesn't mean I'm going to have time to get to it. So, and like with tattoos, when people want you to kind of sketch something for them, with tattoos, I won't do that at all unless I have money. And that's every tattoo artist that I know, because you get burned a lot on that deal.
No,
a lot.
It's not because the design isn't good. People just don't want to pay for it.
Nope.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was kind of one of my next questions as we go through this, was about your tattooing. And now that's not something you do as much. So where are you located? Where are you located? So
Valkyrie Ink Slingers is the name of our tattoo arm, and we're licensed and stuff like that. But I don't have a physical location right now. Like, tattoo parlors usually operate like barber shops, so you will rent a space, and you can use that rentable space if you want to do a tattoo. We have a tattoo zone here at the studio that I can utilize for that and do sometimes. But I'm very hard to pin down for a tattoo because I love doing canvas work. I'm one of those rare artists that doesn't give a damn about the money. And so even though there's a lot more money to be made in tattooing, because typically you're at $100 an hour for even a base level tattoo artist, canvas art does not pay that much, as we've already discussed with the pricing of our work. Each piece here will take at least 12 hours to do, and if you're only paying $200 to $400 for them, you can see that's not about the money. Right. So we don't negotiate on price for that reason too.
I understood. Do you, when it comes to your tattoo art, is it generally things that they bring to you, or do you tattoo? I'm sure you probably have given tattoos of your art.
So like one thing that's interesting that happens to me a lot is I have a lot of freehand tattoo requests. So that will be where folks want me to go with no stencil and no idea. And that's, I didn't know that was as rare as it is, but I do that here and there. And it's one of those things that is challenging, but people want to see the raw now. It's getting so that, there's so many butterfly and cross tattoos out there and infinity signs that every tattoo artist that I know is tired of doing them. And since it's so hard to nail me down, if your tattoo's not interesting to me, I probably won't do it. I'll refer you to someone else.
Yes, that's really not something you do anyway. Let me ask, Ryan, do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have one.
One tattoo? Would you tell us about it?
No, I won't. I refuse.
You're done, huh? It was not a pleasant experience.
Actually, no, it's scissors for cutting hair.
Ah, I see. Interesting. But that was it. You're not really into tattoo. You've done a few of those?
Yeah, a bunch, actually.
I've got my little arms here, my little Wonder Woman bracelets. That's what my ex-wife calls them.
That's
they're
cool.
atheist tattoos. And then I got over here, I've got just what do you call it? Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and I've got some.
That's cool, yeah.
You may recognize this. Yeah, so that's kind of it. But me and the evil one, we really want to get new tattoos. Now, back to the Star Trek thing. I've been on 2 Star Trek cruises. I've turned the evil one into a Star Trek lover. She loves Star Trek now. And so we do plan on getting tattoos that match. Now, in that case, she is my inspiration. And she's the rock, and I'm the crazy artistic one, and she's the one with the grit, right?
That's how my life is too.
There you go. We're going to get like an inkwell on her arm, and a ink feather on mine. Like a script kind of thing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the way that matches up.
But I also want to get a Star Trek trans, what do you call them? The Delta, the Star Trek communicator tattooed on my chest. I haven't convinced her to do it on hers, but for me, I definitely want to get that. I could probably do that myself.
Yeah, that's sure.
Burns 313 is here. Good morning. Don't run with scissors. 2 girls running, scissoring with the runs. Sometimes you got to read. chat carefully before you read it. Did I miss? I think I may have missed another super. Did I miss it? No, I think I got everybody. Just shoulder to.
Yeah, one of the harder tattoos that I've done a lot of is scissors on the inside of the finger.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I've done a bunch of them with my friends. Yeah. We do a lot of LGBTQ community work, and so
Okay.
subsequently I've done a lot of cool rad tattoos like that. They're painful right there. That's a tough spot. Yeah.
Oh, are they? Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, my finger tattoos made my face go numb.
Ooh.
Really? I
Yeah.
paid money for that usually.
Yeah.
The one that got me the most was in my tattoo here, which I don't think you can see, but I've got these little branches that come up into the pit meat, and man,
Oh yeah.
that getting up there. And then what happened was it was like a 2 or 3. Yeah, tender. It was I went down and I paid this guy like $250 and he did the outline. And then he's like, well, you got to come back and we'll do the other, the outline. And I come back, he's like, well, we got to finish the outline again. And I was like, dude, this is getting, anyway, he got mad at me and he really went hard. Yeah. And
Why?
you can still
What a
feel,
jerk.
well, you can still, I was mad, of course, but now I think it's cool. And I just afterwards, because you can still feel it. It was like, not only did I get a tattoo, but it's also scarified. So if you run your hand
he blew it too deep.
Yeah, he really. I went and I paid like $800 to get most of this done. And really it was just the outline twice, I think, or some business. And I went to this other lady. She finished the iron, did the color, did the snakes, and did all this for $300 in one sitting.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It depends on the person. It's just like anything else, You really do want to know your artist and know who you're going to, In fact, if somebody wants something that I don't consider myself good at, I'll find somebody that is and make sure that they get the right artist.
That's true. But there's some people out there that are good at things. It's my fault for not doing better research and being just quick. And really, it was one of my fault. I blame myself. It's good enough. But
like
anyway,
for me, this one hurt a lot. The line up in the clavicle, right? So he hurt up here, and then I have Fortis Fortuna right across my clavicle there, and that one hurt too. Anything on those bones like that, you feel it.
I tell you, here's the problem. Because of the way the camera squishes you out on the thing, you see your whole thing. All the camera sees is literally your face for most of this show. Yeah. You're just like that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to hear, and I apologize.
No, you can't hear.
You can't hear. I'm also seeing. If I can find a way, I can switch this up to a different style. My system isn't set up for that exactly. For vertical.
Yeah, I know.
Let me ask this. Is this better? Hold on. Is that better?
No. No.
Okay.
Sorry, we're good. We'll work on it next time. I knew you were dealing with your phone, and see you like.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Your whole body. No, that's fine. You see your whole body, but in the camera, it only gets to your little head. So no worries.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we're a good hunk of the way through the show anyway, so I should have fixed it a long time. No worries. No, but we did good. They got to see you. Big old facey on the screen. Today, I've got mucho running around to do. I'm going to wrap up the show a tiny bit early here in just a little bit. So I like to warn people that I do that. But no, you look great over there, and this is some fantastic art. Is there anything else you care to surprise us with that you do? Do you write books or some business?
No.
Right?
What's that now?
Do you write books or some business like that?
Well, I do a little poetry and stuff, and when I was in high school, I was actually a lead singer for a Christian metal band called Seventh Seal. So really? I did that for a little bit, but yeah, I like to write, but not a book or anything like that.
There you go. Ryan's camera went out on her for some reason, and now we can see more of you.
Okay.
Because it changed your view. I
will say this: I have what Marines like to call the resting war face, right? And so, I smile a lot because I tend to look mean, and I don't mean to. I'm a lot nicer than I look.
That's interesting that you say that. You look like I would think if you don't mind, bear with me. You're far away, so I know you're not going to beat me up. You look like a Marine. I mean, I could take a photograph, your photograph of you as a Marine, what I would see as being prototypical. That's what a Marine should look like. Even now, looking at your face, I know, but there's a lot of things that you look like you would be. Now, let's take aside the Marine part. So we separate that out. That's cool. We respect that. You just kind of come off like you'd look like a right-wing, conservative, anti-trans, anti-gay. That's kind of how you look. Whenever I was like, let me go look back on through your thing to see what the hell I'm getting myself into. And I went back and I saw my post where you'd liked my post saying trans people are people. And because I mean, I don't generally like people on Facebook terribly long if I see ugly things. So you come off as a very interesting person.
I appreciate that. Well, I'm one of few cats like me that will openly identify as bi, and so I am very much about doing whatever the hell you want to do. Yeah. So I'm very much about doing whatever the hell you want to do. And so I tell folks, I'm like, it's funny when I show up to art shows and gallery shows, because again, that resting war face I don't look like the artist guy that's in front of that piece. And so people always have a tendency to be like, you did that, and stuff. So it's funny. But yeah, a lot of my life was very conservative. A lot of my life was spent that way. And so I come from that kind of background, and there's a misconception that the Marine Corps is very much like that, when actually the Marine Corps is the first group to recognize the LGBTQ community openly. The Marine Corps is the first group to allow women in combat. The Lioness program is all about that. And so what's cool about a smaller unit is they act like it.
I just want to mention, if I can, that the Marines acknowledging the existence of the Navy does not count as acknowledging gay people. I'm just saying. I know it sounds like they would be one and the same. Sorry. I joined the Army when I was 18, so there was this I never went. It was just, you know how it is, man. If you even get close to the
my son's in the Army right now. Yeah,
is that fantastic? There's just.
Yeah.
How old is your son?
He is 23 now.
23.
Yeah, his mother and I got married. I was one of those stories that they tell you not to do. Don't get married right after boot camp. But I love strong women, and so when I broke up with her, or was trying to break up with her to go to boot camp, she just said no. And so I was like, I'm going to boot camp. I think it's probably best if we break up. She said no. And I was like, okay.
Good argument.
We're still friendly, we're still friendly. And that whole side of the family is Christian, and so there's some tension there. But I despite like we were joking about the resting war face of a Marine or whatever, despite that very conservative, very athletic kind of, I like stuff that I don't look like I would like, and then on top of that, most people don't expect me to pursue education to the degree that most people's husbands pursue, like sports and shit. I don't watch any sports at all. I don't waste any time. I know it sounds goofy. I've communicated when I actually wake up, which is at 1 a.m. That's my morning wake up call.
Wow. Yeah, I get up at about between 2:30 and 3 myself. I noticed your post early this morning, and I was like, wow, he's either up really late or up really early.
Yeah, I like to fire up early. It's just I didn't learn that I was autistic until I was in my 40s, and so I've lived an entire life of being an autistic person. And even when Marines would be like, "Oh, this is combat Sheldon," Sheldon from Big Bang Theory or whatever, making fun of me because I'm a mega nerd, not just kind of a nerd, but a mega nerd, right? So right. I have a system, a schedule that I work on every day that does not change, and so every day has workout, every day has art, every day has all the things that I do. And that's why our production schedule is so hard to tackle for other folks. But that's also why, with continuing education, I've got diplomas that just have paint all over them down here in the studio.
Well, that's awesome, though. It really is. That's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead, like I was mentioning earlier. I'm going to wrap up the show a little early. But man, you have been a fantastic guest. I will have to now. I will probably almost certainly reserve a Sci-Fi Saturday just for you if you're willing to come back and join us.
I'd be willing to come on anytime you guys want to have me. I love you guys so much, and I'm just so humbled and honored to be able to be here.
And we're humbled and honored to have you. Let me ask you, do you have a specific favorite sci-fi?
So, man, that's tough. I'm a Trekkie and a Wars guy. I like both of them for different reasons. It's kind of like, when I talk about, being bi or whatever like that, I'm like, I like things for different fucking reasons, and so, at the end of the day, I just do what I want.
I too enjoy them both.
I don't like being nailed down.
Yeah. I just do whatever the hell I want to do.
You lie, Ryan. That's not what I heard about you.
Well, she's not Christ-like. Yeah, she's not Christ-like if she doesn't want to be nailed down.
That's true.
Hey, I like being oil rubbed all over me.
There you go.
Yeah, see, well, there you go.
Maybe some light whipping.
I love it.
My body to some degree.
What's that?
I said you can eat my body to some degree.
To some degree. I'm pseudo-edible.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Raven Lunatic for $5 says, I was in such a rage when I lost my job in the Navy. Now I have to take a course in anchor management.
I like that.
For $5, Raven said, all I did was say the fish was good enough for Jehovah. Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. That was Left-Handed Jedi for that one. And I need to go watch those Monty Python ones. Thank you for the super chat, Left-Handed Jedi.
I love those shows.
Yeah, for $5 says the definition of a reverse exorcism is when you ask the devil to get the priest out of your little boy. That is, I never even thought about that, but that's accurate.
That's hilarious.
Raven Lunatic for $2 says, who has hooves and artistic talent? Vincent van Gogh. Of course, part of our goat saving course. For $5, whenever my artistic boyfriend is sad, I let him draw things on my body. I gave him a shoulder to crayon. And Adam has been a member for 3 months. Thank you, Adam, for being a member. Guys, I very much appreciate both of you for joining me today. Ryan, and always Ryan. Ryan's always wonderful. I tell you, Ryan just barely got a word in edgewise today. Tomorrow, I'm just
so sorry.
No, trust me. I'm golden. I am golden. I don't need to say all the things. I'm good with listening.
No, it was great. But man, you're great, Dawn, and I would love to have you back on the show. We'll get with you. We'll give you.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I'll put some links to your
I'd love that
stream or some business. It's been fantastic. So I'm going to let you two go. I'm going to run a final thing for our friends here on the show. Let's do the fascism commercial. And then we'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll close out the show after the commercial. We'll be back.
Today's world is confusing, and there's too much information for one person to make sense of it all. Which credit card should I pay off first? Is non-fat milk good for me? Who should I vote for? Let's face it, if you can't figure out high-interest milk, then how can you be expected to make political decisions that influence a country of over 325 million people? Well, that's why there's fascism. Fascism is the political, social, and economic system for today's world. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines fascism as a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts a nation, and often race, above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of the opposition. Choose this ideology and life will be easy. Did you ever look at someone who uses really big words and think, I wish those libs would just disappear? Well, under fascism, your dreams can come true. Under fascism, you won't have to worry about the pesky little things like brown people or atheists, or who in your country is entitled to basic human rights and who is not. Hint, hint, the answer is nobody. Yes, friends, this truly is the final solution you've been looking for. And if you're concerned if this form of authoritarianism will be up to your high standards, don't worry. American fascism will be the best fascism in the world because it's been endorsed by Jesus. So go out and destroy freedom and democracy by getting fascism today. Paid for by the Fascio Conservative Party, formerly known as the GOP.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, what we're going to be talking about on the show is miracles on a budget. You know, we just with Don, it was last minute that we arranged to get him on because of how his work schedule is. It worked out to wiki, so that's why he didn't show up in the newsletter or the thumbnail or any of that business. So, barring some kind of event, tomorrow we're going to be talking about miracles on a budget. Now, I want to mention next week, we're going to have Kelly Laughlin, who I did see briefly in the chat earlier. We're going to have Kelly Laughlin on the show next Tuesday, a week from today, I believe. So look forward to that, my friends. Okay, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you for Woden's Day tomorrow.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame.
Yes, thank you to all my wonderful mods out there for what you do. I very much appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Rainbow Ash, thank you. I meant Miss Non Sequitur and all you other people who do the thing. Thank you all. Okay, send safely, my friends. We'll see you tomorrow.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Confession booth, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goat's the scent that leads the way. Slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink,